not doing the second, so I'm just waiting for one of these to turn. Come on. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Call to order the regularly scheduled board meeting of USD 464 for Monday, April 17th. At this time, if you'd please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I think we have one addition to the agenda tonight in the consent items. So I would make a motion to approve the agenda, to amend the agenda, adding item 2.8. That's for the disposal of the asset listed in the approval section. Is there a second on the amendment?
A second.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Make a motion to approve the agenda as it's amended.
All in
Second
fa-
it.
It's moved in second. All in favor, say aye. All right, motion carried. Too many things there.
Forest first.
All right.
Brad Kingsway.
Yep, okay. All right, Forrest, you want to go ahead and present? We'll catch Brad when he gets here.
Evening, everyone.
Whoa, that was fancy.
I've been playing around with Canva a lot lately. I'm just doing a tech update on some things that we've got coming up this summer. First one is a big project. We're updating TMS, the whole TMS network. It's all switches, all access points. It already been approved. They've already been purchased, but as with other things, I'm still having long lead times on networking equipment. I've got my access points in, and I ordered the stuff back in August. Switches aren't slated to be here until the end of June, though. So, but that'll give us time to get it all done before the next school year. Also, what we've got going on this summer, Chromebook refresh, like we normally do, around 450 to 500 Dell 3110s are the newer model. They're still 2-in-1s, so they flip over, and we've been very happy with the Dells. The Chromebook is really a very affordable Chromebook. They run around $280 a piece for me. And they're really hardy. I mean, they have Gorilla Glass. We've had a lot less repairs on those than on our ASUS's. So I think that was a very good move. We're working on I'll be implementing a new help ticket system, a lot more modern, cleaner. It will affect and work with technology, maintenance, help tickets, and it's also got a component for resource management that we're going to add. So if you're scheduling rooms in the building for use, like for PD, you do it through here, and I'll set it up where it'll end up being all automated. So when somebody reserves a room, it may have a list of questions at the bottom for the person, like, do you need Wi-Fi? Do you need a projector? What tables, how many tables and stuff like that. And once a person's submitted, it even narrows it down and tells people if the room's even open, right? And once they submit it to reserve the room or the gym or whatever, it'll automatically shoot emails out to IT, to maintenance, head of custodial, and let everybody know what they need to prepare for rooms. So right now we do it through kind of a Google Calendar, but this will be a lot cleaner. And everybody will have access to it and be able to see a calendar of what's being reserved. We're migrating. This is another big one for us this summer. Anytime you do this, We're moving, right now we are on Windows 10, and we're gonna migrate all Windows desktops and laptops this summer to Windows 11. So we'll be keeping, teacher laptops and stuff while we do that. They also have a Chromebook that they can keep at home, so they do have some technology over the summer. We're upgrading the THS Media Lab with new desktops. The desktops in there now are about 5 years old, so it's time to update those. We're upgrading both the TES computer labs with new desktops. Right now, Deanna's sitting there, it's a mixture of laptops and desktops in one lab. Now they're all gonna be desktops. They will be running Chrome OS on them. We find that Chrome OS works really well with especially the elementary school. Adding Airtames to TES classrooms. We already have done half the building, and then this summer we're doing the other half of the building. And Airtames, what that does is give teachers the wireless presentation ability in their classroom, so they can present from their laptop, Chromebook, phone, whatever they want, to their projectors. We're upgrading computer carts and Chromebooks in kindergarten. I'm putting the Dell 3100s in the elementary or the kindergarten carts also. I anticipate that those will go at least 5 years. They hold up well. I mean, we've had Chromebooks run over, falling off the back of cars, and still work. So we're also going to be doing some additional rostering this summer of district programs that we use with ClassLink, so that it will all be more automated. And then we reserve the summertime to always do preventive maintenance, like cleaning out our switch rooms, compressed air and blowing out our projectors in the elementary school and middle school and high school. And then we also clean out our switches that way in the summer times too. Those are just kind of the big highlights of the summer. We do have some small wiring projects that we're doing. And then we'll be helping with the CTE renovations, and over here for the old school, we're doing all the cabling and projector and things like that. I wanted to keep it short. Do you guys have any questions for me about anything coming up, or I mean, it can be anything in general. I've seen some good movies lately.
Oh. We're usually pushing people to go faster, but it seems like our other people aren't here yet. So I guess you're gonna get more questions than you bargained for. I know we upgraded some like our Wi-Fi capability across some of our buildings because there was poor coverage and capacity.
Oh, our cell phone boosters?
Yeah, and things like that. Is that working pretty well,
Yeah.
or doing what we need?
We've done central office so far, and we've done elementary school, because, I mean, the elementary school, bottom floor at that kind of north end was by far the worst area in the whole district. I mean, you get no cell phone reception at all. Most buildings I go into some spots may not have great, but I'm still getting 1 or 2 bars. Elementary school in that bottom area, nothing. Now you can walk around that area and you're getting 5 bars all the time. And I mean, that was even a recommendation from the police department that we do something at least at that building. They've never mentioned any other building in specific, but the elementary school was, definite. So yeah, we do have that done. We haven't done any more right now because, to be honest, cabling prices have gone through the roof. So I know we're going to assess needs at the high school and middle school, but right now their cell phone coverage is not too bad, except for the new gym. The new gym is pretty, those thick walls. We don't get great cell phone reception in there.
I think the thing that's important is, some of the school safety upgrades that we've made, especially the visibility piece, for the front desk. And you might want to talk about that real.
Well, we finished, and I think I talked the last time about it in here, one of our future projects was upgrading security at our middle school and the elementary school front entrances. Mm-hmm. And we've completed those projects. If you go to the elementary school, you see that nice big post out there now. for, buzzing people in. Doors aren't unlocked anymore. We've done the same thing at the middle school. We've added extra cameras at the entrances also to cover those. And then all 3 buildings now are running using a program called IdentiKid. That, when you come in, kids use it to check in at the high school too. When they come in the middle of the day, they check in through IdentiKid. And then if parents, especially not so much at the high school, but elementary school and middle school, if you've ever checked your kid out of school, you come in there and you check them out on IdentiKid. And it gives our offices, like I know Louise and the elementary secretaries can run reports from that too.
From a firewall, security, that side, is everything where you think it needs to be there?
I really do. We had talked about doing some like network testing, I think last summer.
Yeah.
And we did do it. We had a company from Two Trees in Wichita that we contracted through, that what they do is they send me a laptop, I hook it into my network, they connect to the laptop, and they do a thorough analysis of our network. And the results we got back were really positive. We had a few things that were mostly concerning certificates on servers that they wanted us to upgrade, and I did. But I mean, overall, we received a very positive report on that. I didn't put it on here, but something I would like to continue actually every summer is having a scan like that done of our network. The next one that they do, a level up, is where they actively try and attack your network and break in from the outside. So that will probably be the next step that we try.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Forrest does a great job.
Forrest, at the outset of the pandemic, I think we did a pretty good job, but struggled with home internet and different issues.
Right.
Are there any things that we actively do to plan for a future issue like the COVID pandemic?
Well, internet at home was the biggest issue, right? And that's always a tricky thing. I mean, since then we have implemented where, most of the companies like Midco and AT&T, at that time they were kind of offering some internet assistance. That's not really the case anymore, but we do offer at our middle school and our high school hotspots in our libraries. The kids can come in and check out for any reason, but you run into the same problem with hotspots. If your cell phone doesn't work, to connect your laptop to, then hotspot may not work for you either. But that's what we were doing, and we have enough spare hotspots that if we ever had to do remote, we can offer it to the elementary school. And we do get those free. They're at no cost to the district. It was part of the Sprint 1 million project, and then it became like the 10 million project, and then T-Mobile took it over, and they continue to supply us with free. Anytime we run out, we just ask for more, and they send us more. It's a really nice program.
That's great.
Yeah.
I got one thing, and it's just minor, and I told these kids that they ought to go ask the office if they need, and I know we have pretty tight security so that people can't get on unusual things, but something I can encounter from multiple girls, particularly like seniors, is they're all trying to do stuff for colleges and like dorm things, applications, scholarships, and they're having trouble getting access. They're getting blocked to those sites. So I don't know.
We do try and loosen a few things up for seniors also. In cases like that, what I would say is they talk to their counselor, even a teacher, Jody Smith, or they can email me even. If we know what the site is, we can easily unblock that stuff.
That's what I told them. They didn't seem to know that.
Or
So
or
it might be
Gene in the library,
It might be something we just have to work with, educating those kids when they get to that age of what they need to do on that. I know some know, some don't.
Web filters are kind of funny sometimes on the things that they block. They block based on how websites are categorized, and a lot of times stuff doesn't get categorized categorized correctly or at all. And if it's not categorized at all, it usually gets blocked right off the bat. So, but we're pretty responsive on stuff like that.
I knew you were. I tried to assure the kids, but this somebody told me that I should fix it, and I said, it's not for me to fix.
That's not my department.
I will say with GoGuardian has, I go in every day or so and I look at the top 50 sites that everybody's going to. And when we first switched over to GoGuardian, the site, our top 50 was littered with gaming sites. You really don't see that now. The top 50 sites are predominantly all educational and programs that we pay for and use. So
That's good to hear.
been really happy with that.
Thanks.
I know the kids aren't.
I'm not, I think I would think most of everybody sitting here would be just fine.
Yeah.
Blocking the games during the day. Well, thanks for ad-libbing a little extra there.
Yeah, no
Of
problem.
course, and taking those. I think Brad's here, so unless anybody has anything else, we'll jump on over
Appreciate
to Tuggy
it.
Rec. Thanks a
Thank
lot
you.
for everything.
You're welcome. And I've got another slide, Lauren, so I'll just leave my laptop right up here and
You betcha.
plug it in when you need it.
Brad, come on down.
Well, I'll kind of introduce this a little bit. Brad and I had a meeting last week, and we just talked about a few things. And one of the things that Brad met with me about was, of course, we got the request for us to possibly look into improved lighting in the West Gym. But that was just one piece of the meeting. We also talked about how things were going. The connection between the administrative center and the rec commission. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd start there first.
Sure.
Before you go on to the lights.
Yeah, first
'cause
of all,
that's-
thanks for inviting me over. But I'm excited to be here to talk about our partnership that we have here with the Rec Commission, being your new neighbors here to the south. I'm excited how things are going. I think it's going pretty well. We figured out we had about 590 people come through our doors just in the month of March. March is really, we moved in January, but March was really our first month. We were open 7 days a week in evening hours, weekends, and all that stuff. So March was kind of our first big test, being fully staffed and everything. So we had about 594 visitors come through our front door. Now, some of those were people that came in every day and walked in the mornings. That's a big one coming in. We're now open at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. And the big thing is they kind of walk these halls. I guess it's over here, kind of walk these halls. A lot of them go down the stairs. They use the stairs, extra exercise, walk in the gym. When the weather's not nice out, right now it's nice, so the numbers are starting to dwindle a little bit. But when the weather's cold and rainy, we're having 20, 25 people come in the mornings and walk at different times. So, and to me, that's awesome, because a lot of those folks were walking. They're walking down at the park, and they might see pass somebody on the trail and wave at them and say, "Hi, how you doing?" But now they're coming in here, and there's a group of 5 or 6 walking together, and they're sitting down there in the commons at the tables, drinking coffee and talking and catching up. So that's been terrific. Another thing, pickleball that's awesome. That's a great group right there. Right now we do Tuesday night pickleball, Wednesday morning pickleball, Saturday kind of mid-morning pickleball. And we range from 6 to 18. And last Tuesday night, we had 18 folks in there playing pickleball. And we got 3 courts set up, and they kind of rotate. Okay, I won, now I'm going to split up. And we got people waiting, and they hop in. So it's not a lot of waiting. Those folks sit around and chat, and it's great for the community. There's a lot of those folks coming in. And it's kind of intergenerational. It's what's great about pickleball to me is, we'll have high school kids coming in there, and they're playing basketball, and we're putting up the nets, and like, what is this? Pickleball, okay, and then they'll be in there and they'll play with the seniors. So that's really cool seeing that mix there. But everything's going real. I'm pleased with the partnership. Kirk, the custodian in the building's great to work with. If we need some extra paper towels or something like that, he goes, "Here, let me help you that." Real responsive, working with Mitch. If we need something, I'm tracking down keys for all sorts of different things in here that I don't know where they're at, and he's very helpful. There for the first couple months, it was a hassle getting deliveries. We were getting FedEx and UPS here at the front desk, and ladies at the front desk have just been super like, "Hey, we got a package," or they'll walk it down to us and deliver it. But so far it's worked, really well. the places where we're overlapping a little bit, like the wrestling, having the locker rooms downstairs, that's probably our biggest hassle, but it's something we're working through. And as you know, as the next season comes around, I think it's just going to get easier and easier, and we'll keep working through those issues. But for up to this point, it really hasn't been much of a problem. But
If you haven't had a chance, you might want to take a look. I mean, you've really done some nice visual upgrades. The marketing piece is really nice. It's changed completely, and a lot
just
of
trying
that
to
is-
make it look like a community
Yeah.
center and not so much school.
cafeteria.
Yeah, cafeteria and the old school, the old locker room. Just trying to make it seem like a community center and welcome people in with our signage. But yeah, I'm really excited. Really excited. I think it's going pretty well. And we have a new program director that started a couple weeks, and she's already starting. We got a senior fitness class that started last Monday, and we have 14 folks in it. Yoga, some watercolors. Our programs are really, now that we have the space. When we were downtown in a little office, just didn't have the space for a lot of those programs. But now we have our own space. We have our own activity room, and a lot of possibilities there.
Bingo. Don't forget
Bingo, yes, bingo. We had first bingo night, 14 folks, or 17 folks in bingo last Friday. So it's awesome.
The one thing that we're going to talk about later is some of the renovations in this area. And there's a restroom. Well, right now it's kind of a mop room, whatever room, and it's the room that we would like to turn into a bathroom. Boys, girls. I mean, just it's a one unisex bathroom. But the reason we're really kind of pushing that is to keep our people in this area. You know, Brad has requested. In the past, we were sending wrestlers, youth wrestlers, down the hallway into the rec commission. It was additional work for cleanup. It was usually what it was, and just supervision.
Yeah.
In general. So that's why there's an ice machine in that room right now, but I think Forrest had some technology in there at one time. I'm not real sure. Forrest, what did you have in the mop room? Were there some?
That used to be the old switch closet.
The old switch closet, and so that's all been removed. So there's room to put that in. But as I stated, the reason we're trying to look at that as a possible bathroom is just to keep the old school students and the wrestling in this area here, instead of going all the way south through the doors. So you'll see that later when Aaron talks. Just want to kind of explain that. The cooperation between the rec commission and the school district, I think it's been very strong. But there hasn't been a single hiccup that I can think of besides FedEx.
Yeah. Right.
And everybody calmed down. We're in pretty good shape now. Parking has been okay over here. They take up about 5 or 6 spots with their staff. It seems like it comes and goes pretty quickly. So far it's been okay.
Yeah, our walkers, that's the big thing in the mornings, is the morning walkers in our exercise class now. And I mean, those are going to be, range from 5 to 20 people. So we've talked about maybe designating like that front row right in front of us, those 9-10 spots, marking those Tongi Rec. That would be helpful, just especially when we have some seniors that are there for different activities, making them not having to walk from the gravel or anything like that. But there's always been spots. I haven't heard one thing about, hey, I had to park a mile away. It's worked out pretty well. And let's say most of our heavy times are pickleball in the evening, or basketball games, if we host basketball games in there, which we will again this winter. But that'll be weekends when school's not in session. So I think the majority of our heavy traffic hours aren't going to overlap with school.
Is the walker, when we get the old school, I mean, if we get the bathroom set up, will you still use the halls because that's before the start of school, and then
I would
lock those down?
love to be able to continue that. I know it might have to make some changes. Lauren and I've kind of talked about maybe perhaps like a retractable something or here, so they can still walk in our commons, go down to the gym, maybe come up the hallway and turn around. I know there's safety concerns there, and we certainly, but I think something can be worked out. The seniors most of our walkers are pretty quiet, and it's not going to affect too much. But I know there's safety concerns there. We've got to make sure everybody's on the same page there. But I'm hoping we can continue to work something out. If not, they can walk in the gym. Might have to use the elevator. Some of them don't take the stairs very well, but I think we can work something out there.
Sounds like it's working good. Does that cover everything but the lights?
Now, the next thing, if you should have the attachments that Brad sent me, and it's on his presentation. And I asked Mitch to be here too for part of this. One of the things that we had talked about was the partnership we have with the out at the fairgrounds with the ball fields and soccer, and we use Chieftain Park once in a while. Rec Commission uses some of our facilities once in a while. It's just been a great partnership, and one of the things that Brad has talked about was this. And if you want to pull that up, if you guys have it there, let's see. Is it option one? Probably the one that you were probably most.
Yeah, probably. I think option 2 they'll have to do all new wiring so we can dim lights, and I think there's options in there. You can change colors and stuff to do a fancy presentation. I think that's probably the dimming lights would be a very nice feature. I'm a little worried that we completely redo all those with LED lights. It's going to be like super bright in there. We're going to go from it's too dark to it's too bright, but I think at that point we just start switching off banks of lights.
So
until we can
I
figure
think the
that out.
question, what prompted the desire to have the better lights?
I'm not sure how old those lights are in there. I mean, most of the other in the commons area have been swapped out with LED. Our activity room was swapped out with LED. The gym lights, they all functioned properly when we moved in. And then a couple weeks later, during our basketball season, one of the banks stopped working. We've had Capital Electric come in to do a couple different projects, adding some outlets and stuff and they've looked at it, and they say it's up in the ceiling. We got power to the switches, we got power to the boxes, must be up in the ceiling. So that would be bringing a lift in. Talked to Mitch a couple times about the logistics of that, and that is basically the last time they did it, they brought in a tow truck and to get their lift around to the back of the gym. And so you're renting a tow truck and just to get up there and figure out what it is. So the pickleballers have, worked pretty well for basketball. The pickleballers said it's a little too dark with that bank of lights still out, and even with the lights working, it was, it's a little dark in that gym. So I just think a little LED lights brighten it up a little bit. Obviously, there's some cost savings there. I'm not an electrician, so I can break it down and tell you how many years you would recoup the cost. But just brighten it up a little bit, repair that one bank that's out.
So the other thing that we had talked about was, and I mentioned this with the board, was an in-kind type of relationship. That if we were to do something with the lights, you've been working with the coaches out there at the ball fields to maybe look at some upgrades at the baseball and softball fields. Primarily.
Yeah, I know Mitch has got a list a mile long of improvements he'd love to see at the baseball field, and I've got a high school baseball player I'd love to see improvements out there. But the bottom of the line, that it works great for our rec league. The high school baseball field, the softball fields are terrific. I know there's some amenities that other high school programs have that we don't, because we play on rec fields. So maybe that's something, and I know that's hesitation for maybe our board, for you guys to put money into something that you guys don't own, and we could really kick you guys off at any time, and you could kick us out of here at any time. And now we've put $10,000 into lights, and we're not using them anymore. So maybe that's something, a partnership we can discuss, that you're putting this type of improvement into the gym in our space, and we can put this type of improvement into the fields that you guys use. Some upgrades that maybe rec players don't really need or expect, where high school players are used to going to other facilities and have those types of improvements. I don't know what those improvements are. I know Mitch has done a little bit of work at the bullpens at the softball field. We've talked about maybe putting some fencing in to kind of close those off, so for safety reasons, and making them a little more private for the high school girls. And I know Mitch has got improvements out there he can he'd be happy to make.
They have a lot of zeros behind them.
Yes.
And so, one thing that Mitch he would like is, of course, new backstop, things pushed back. Just limited space,
Yeah.
and we all know that.
And one thing our spring soccer this year, we've got 460 kids playing spring soccer this year. I mean, if you drive by the fairgrounds on Saturday mornings, that parking lot is packed. We got kids coming all over the place out there. So there's a road that goes behind one of those ball fields. And if we could ever find a way to kind of move some kids around, maybe find another spot for soccer, this is kind of long range plans, that we could shut down that middle access road and then have room for expansion there at the high school baseball field. So cars aren't driving right down behind the dugouts. Make it safe, because there's kids playing back there during the games, and it's a safety issue. And we try to, if we don't have soccer games going on, we try to shut down that road. We tried Friday night, but the wind kept blowing over our roadblocks. But
So option one to upgrade the lights is $9,950. That's what I'm looking at, correct?
yes,
I mean, so it falls $50 under my, but I don't know where the board stands on it, so that's why we're presenting this. This is to see what you think. I mean, I guess with approval from you, we could move forward with it. I don't have it as an action item tonight, right? I don't think.
Well, our lease, I assume it's on us to fix, if the lights are broken, it's probably on us to fix them.
Right, and so we had a whole bank not working, basically, and so instead of just, like you said, coming in and trying to fix the existing, to brighten it up with.
and
Were
we
those
get-
lights original?
I don't think so. I think they've been replaced with a LED retrofit before I was here. But I'm fairly certain all the gyms, they retrofitted a different kind of ballast kit
I
there.
would imagine when this building was done with Train for that energy savings project, that might have been.
Yeah, that, a little before, but I know in both gyms, I know we did upgrade to an LED option, but it's obviously come a long way with what they can do now. If you look at our new gym versus the old one, so it's definitely not the latest and greatest or state of the art in there by any means.
Yeah, I think for like middle school and high school gyms, it's like 30 to 50 foot candles is what you're targeting. So for me, you have the option of repairing what's there, and then even if you were to fix it, does it meet the recommended light levels? And so rather than just saying, hey, for getting a bid to replace lights, like, okay, what kind of performance are you getting with that? Does it meet the requirements? Is it, or is it just a 1-for-1 and you get what you get and you don't know until you turn on? I mean, a lot of these lighting companies or these suppliers, it's pretty easy for them to do a lighting analysis pretty quick and tell you where you stand, and maybe even do one for their current one and see, okay, and from my opinion, if the existing one, if you fix it, still doesn't meet recommended lighting levels, then that's a factor in evaluating your options, if that makes sense.
yeah.
What I hear is you want to make sure it's good enough. I mean, don't put something in that doesn't meet some expectations.
Yeah, I mean, there's recommended levels for all of that stuff, and you don't want to spend money and then regret that you didn't spend 10% more to do it right.
Yeah.
The other thing is, just we've listed out a couple projects. So this goes, when we talked about the part, the arrangement, doing the lease agreement, we talked through like separation and that kind of stuff. Now I'm hearing about some projects that, what did we miss, or what didn't we consider when you get into restrooms and that kind of stuff, the logistics and if we could have a comprehensive list so that it doesn't, it's like, hey, because at some point it's like, okay, what's everything on it, or is there going to be something in another 3 months, or a comprehensive, just like we have with the master plan, we had a full list of things.
But I would say now, to address your question, with the renovation that we're presenting tonight, that should that should meet it. I mean, with the classrooms, the biggest change, Drew, was the addition of the alt school. I mean, that's what changed the whole,
With the addition of the what?
the alt school.
Oh, okay.
The approval of that came after any of the
Master.
master planning that we did. So that's, adding those 2 classrooms made the adjustments. The other one was just the additional need in the classrooms over on this bank, such as transportation or parents as teachers or special education. So those were not even part of all that.
Yes, but my expectation is if we approve X, are there any Y projects that are
I
just
don't-
tied to that that we don't know about
Yeah,
yet? That
right.
then are like, well, because we approved that, now we have to approve this.
I really don't think so because of the fact that that about completes where we need to go.
Unless there are things like the gym lighting, which we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Well, that
The other
is-
thing might be
to some degree
parking.
that's a maintenance item that if one bank has
Yeah.
failed, that's
The only other thing I can think of truly is parking. And Brad and I have talked about that quite a bit, and, we're not quite there yet on that, how that would look.
I think that's on the capital plan, but
But
I think
otherwise-
the lighting is kind of to Drew's comment, the lighting's a little bit different because it says something's not working.
Some
We either got
maintenance.
to spend a bunch of money to fix it or look into replacing it. I think he brought up some valid things that should be factored in if we're going to move forward with
Yeah.
changing out those lights.
We can
I
do,
think my concern is less about the $10,000 for the lights. That's not that much money. My concern is, are there other surprises? And
Okay.
really marrying a capital budget and a master plan at the school district level to any needs that Brad and team might have
okay.
at the rec
We
would
c-
make me feel more comfortable
Yeah.
that there's not another light project next month.
Okay.
But I don't have a huge issue with the lights. I have an issue with surprises. So
Well, I can tell you that we know we have some infrastructure issues with the building, and it could be the plumbing. What else, Mitch? I'm just talking might be HVAC maybe?
Yeah, we've addressed a lot of the HVAC. I'm not gonna sit here and say nothing's gonna happen, but we just sporadically through, a little bit here, a little bit there, we've addressed a lot of major issues, with the boiler system. So I don't, heaters and things like that, I don't think we're not meeting the need of anything they have right now.
Yeah.
To a surprise element, but they're,
Well,
I think we can dig into it a little
yeah,
bit.
I think we can certainly meet and explore that and
And just look for.
And vet it, yeah, I mean-
$15,000 project that might
Yeah.
pop up because of a need that's created by, moving more people into the building. I think
yeah.
that's
Well, we
Yeah.
don't want to come back in August and say we overlooked something.
right.
For me, it changes when it's like, oh, a bank isn't working. Like this is one of the older buildings. Things break. That's normal, So you just have an allowance set aside for whatever ends up breaking because something will. But then it's other improvements or things like that otherwise wouldn't be required.
And that may be the line to draw is, where are we at with improvements versus what's just a general maintenance expectation that we will budget for anyway, so. But I think maybe it's just a conversation to have with Brad to say, this is potential upgrades we think we can make, so we avoid, coming back with another $10,000-$15,000 project in a month.
So, have we not looked at repairing what we got,
We have,
or is it not an option?
no, it is an option. We just kind of been holding on it because this is directive that he kind of wanted to look at. If it comes back and we say, hey, no, we can't do it, we can get in there and fix it Monday. I think
So is that accurate? You can get in there and fix it Monday? So then that sounds fast and inexpensive to me.
Correct.
Are you talking the lights now?
Yeah,
Can we get we were talking about.
bringing a lift in, paying an electrician to come up here and do what we paid them
Could
to
be
do.
fixed.
Could be fixed. We just haven't got to that point yet because of the logistics of bringing a lift in when this was on the table.
Yeah, I
If you
think,
guys say, hey, no, we're not doing this, we'll fix it.
Well, you kind of get into you know, what's the nature of the failure, right?
Correct,
So you
yeah.
get into, because we ran into it with like the old field lights,
Yes.
right? Yeah, you kept on fixing it, but it was really in bad shape.
Are we gonna fix this bank and then another bank?
Yes,
2 weeks
that's a
later?
consideration. Like for right now, if it's broken, it needs to be fixed because that's part of just having a building. Fix it. But then there's an assessment that goes, hey, is this something that is going to start to be more problematic
that's
and
the
more
process
frequent?
We're in right now, in my opinion, is we could get up there and fix it, and maybe it's $750, but is it another $750 next month, et cetera, or do we just kind of do what we did with everything else and start from scratch and put a great product in there, and that's just, you know, the same process we make with every decision. I think when you're talking about maintenance versus new and repair and all that. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just walking through all those costs. If it's only $750, you can spend a lot of $750s to make up for $10,000.
Right.
I mean, we want as nice a lights as possible,
Right.
but I
I
mean,
can't
some.
guarantee it's $750.
But if it's
Maybe nothing.
$5,000 to go get a lift and
Right,
fix
you
it,
may
then
have
it's
to
like, why
wire.
not put new? I mean, everybody's got a different
Well,
level, but I mean, I think
Yeah.
we just have to have the full details.
and then also just like once it gets fixed, what is the lighting level in there? If it's 15 and it's half the minimum that is recommended, then that's a consideration that factors into it.
Okay. We got some work to do.
Yep.
I have an idea for your soccer problem.
Shoot.
You could put a turf soccer field at Chieftain Park.
We could do that.
Dimmable lights, it is.
I think if we're our parking situation at the fairground, where we have probably 5 times more parking, is in dire needs. So moving to Chieftain Park, we could split up some here and there, and that's a possibility in the future. Moving our older age group down there, everybody loves having them all in the same spot. So they got kids in different age groups. They can come over here and watch and turn around and see their other kid playing. But we're growing so much. I think in the future it's probably going to have to go 2 locations. So. All right.
Growth isn't a
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you
painful,
guys.
but it's not
Appreciate it.
bad.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Aaron. Good timing.
Yep.
She knows what I'm looking for. Thanks. Yeah, I got it.
I'll say one thing for you, Brad is here, but Rebecca's gonna come next meeting and do a financial update, right? Update that capital budget we put together previously, so some questions on that.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
That's all right. That was actually a really good segue. Because I was going to start out with this before I jump into the 2 things I'm here to talk about tonight. Along with the capital budget, so the previous study that was done was based on the anticipated savings from the bond project and the additional bond proceeds. So now that we are a few months past completion of the majority of the work, McCown Gordon's still working through their reconciliation of all their costs, finishing up some warranty work. I have gotten about 90% through working with Rebecca on making sure we have all the invoices for all the FF&E and stuff that the district has purchased directly. So I went back in and made some updated predictions. So we have this is where all the current contingencies stand, which really is unchanged from the last full board meeting update that we did. Below the line here are the additional items. I saw this recalking of the TPAC recast on here. That really hasn't been talked about in a while, but I just left it on here. McCown Gordon is anticipating, as you can see here, quite a sufficient return on their GMP, which is above and beyond the owner contingency item that's still in their GMP, which is shown up above. And then I'm looking at around $300,000 in savings from all the soft cost items, the FF&E and the IT. Most of that's from the IT because early in the project, we found out that you guys got the E-rate funding, which we had budgeted just in case you didn't get that. So a good portion of that was really just, and then managing all the equipment and stuff throughout the process. So this is what I'm showing right now as a forecasted bond contingency left. So how does that compare to what was before, that the capital outlay study was based on? Back in October, the last time I updated this, we were at 5.2, we're now at 6.4. So out of that study and all those projects that Lauren and team put together, that was based on trying to fit as many projects into that 5.2 as possible. I believe you're gonna have closer to 6.4 to work with instead. So again, McCown should have their reconciliation done probably next month, and we'll have final numbers, but that's what I spoke to them about last week. So that said, we're gonna go to fence first. So
I mean, that basically comes down, we're like 6.4 under budget on
yeah, so that,
layman's terms.
yeah,
I mean, I know we've spent some of the contingency, but
yeah.
Really, on that project, it's almost 8.4 under budget because we spent 2 million.
Yeah, we added scope.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So the majority of that comes from the initial GMP being under the previous estimates due to various things, but partly because you guys fell at the sweet spot of the COVID buyout right before everybody started jacking things up 20%. So.
Better lucky than good. Better lucky than good.
Sometimes. All right, so I believe Lauren had shared with you guys that when I was here last month presenting the fence cost, I made an error in filling out this form on the cost of the one that's highlighted here, this municipal grade fence. I had the 7 in the wrong place. And you can see here, this was the bid, 171. So what I shared last time, obviously it's quite a bit more than what you guys approved on that, the municipal grade aluminum fencing. So what I did over the last couple of weeks was I went ahead and we went back and got a price just as something to share, because this is obviously more than what was in that planning spreadsheet to spend on the fence project. So this new column here to the far left is if it was all black chain link. So I would just pull up as a visual reminder for those of you that are very visual. That would be black chain link all the way around this field. So what was presented and approved before was doing the municipal grade aluminum fence everywhere except for the yellow lines behind the bleachers.
What was the total that was approved last time?
I knew you were going to ask me that when I got up here, and I should have had that ready.
Around
170.
Almost 175.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite there.
And I believe the amount that was in the capital outlay budgeting was real close to that. It was like 168 or something like that. So going all chain link is 184. Now remember, this scope increased over time based on the meetings of this group as well as some of the other groups involved. But that 168 that was put into the original capital outlay did not include a landscaped column entry at both entries. It was just based on one. And it was not based on aluminum all the way around. So without the double column entry, this chain link fence, you know, you take that column number, you know, take it in half because there's a couple columns along the north side of the field as well. If you cut all the columns out, you'd be a lot less. So 225 is where the correct municipal grade aluminum fence number is. You know, the industrial grade is just barely higher than that, and then you go up to that 250 is the Ameristar brand, which is just a different brand than these other two numbers. And then you jump up into Amerifence's pricing. So
Well, we're still getting along the north, the metal thing. I mean, it's not wire or chain link along the highway. That's still
this 184 is chain link all the way around.
Everywhere.
Yeah. The whole
The whole perimeter.
The whole perimeter is chain link for 184. And then that's still, the 184 would still have, you've got the 3 columns that are the solid colored squares there, and then you'd have the 2 columns at this entry, and then the 2 columns at the west entry. Is all
so
on
for
that
the
184.
225 though, we get the what we proposed along the highway plus the.
Yeah. So there is an in-between cost, and frankly, I just didn't go get that because it's just, it's really hard to even get people to respond if you throw them 500 options.
Right.
But based on these two numbers, you can kind of deduce where that middle number would be. It'd probably be, you know, if you did just along the front, you'd probably be close to 200.
And what about the difference? I mean, we had some conversation the other time about the industrial grade, municipal grade.
Yeah.
Any material difference?
I really don't. I don't think so, based on the conversations we had with the fence people and what your guys' use and intensity is. I mean, I don't see a big need to go jump in that extra, 10 and then 30,000 for the other 2 options.
The black chain link all the way around, that's because, I mean, right now we have shorter, and that's the 6 foot tall. Because what we have on the highway now is only like 4 foot, but we have around the stadium, we have 6 foot.
Yeah.
You said the 27,000 is all the columns, so it'd be like 7 total?
Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. Yeah, so that's 7 columns, which honestly was a really great price, obviously, compared to that 52. And then the landscaping is pushed up by the fact that it does include irrigating the little, the areas next to those columns.
Like all 7 or just?
No, just the 2 entries.
Okay.
And then it includes reseeding. Obviously, they're going to have to tear up all the areas where they removed the existing fence and put in the new fence. They'll, put some seed back down on those disturbed areas. So that's what all is in the landscaping. So, the price of the fence price has continued to go up considerably every time we've gone back to the market and asked for new pricing. I think when we started talking about this 2 years ago or so, that's what that original 170 was based on. And you can see just the chain link fence price itself is 130. So,
I think we knew that risk, on the front end, because we wanted to make sure the project was done on time and on budget, so
Yep.
I don't think.
Yeah.
So if you stuck with the previous approval on the municipal grade, you are you know, you're adding about 50,000 to what you previously approved. So that's kind of why I shared the good news on the contingency savings first. So any other questions on the fence? I'll jump to the other renovations.
On the contingency savings of 6.4, does that assume some amount of fences in that, or is it?
No, that is without
No
CT,
fence.
that's without CTE, without the fence, nothing. That is just pure contingency savings. So yeah,
Lauren handed out had another handout with a spreadsheet with the things that we've approved to date. The playground, the CTE, and
There should be 2 spreadsheets there.
like that, the program of potential projects that was done previously was based on fitting all those projects into, you know, that 5.2, plus some other things. So now, there is a little cushion there.
And that bond, you have this spreadsheet bond contingency plan. And then this one is in addition to that. For
That's
projects
what
that
we,
have already
those are things that we have spent
out of capital.
out of capital that potentially could be, when we get down to the end, could be returned to capital from the bond contingency.
we have to. We can't keep the bond fund forever. You either have to spend it or reimburse yourself for other
Right.
items.
And that's what that is.
Right.
Reimburses.
Sorry to get it.
No, you're cool.
One last question. So on option 1, the far left option,
Mm-hmm.
would you still do the columns if you have
You don't have to. I just didn't take them out of here because I wanted to show kind of apples to apples. But
it would seem like columns with chain link fence don't really go together that much, but
yeah.
okay.
You know, I think we started with the chain link option, you know, then added the columns in based on, you know, feedback on really wanting to make that north side look nice. And then had the discussion that, well, it would be really nice to just have it all match all the way around. So, yeah, I mean, I would definitely be taking a step back, but I don't think, you know, obviously it's more than was anticipated. So, that's what needs to be evaluated.
But on your drawing, we have the drawing that you had highlighted there. We have fence around there currently, right?
There's fence, yeah, there's black chain link.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me what
Is it
color
right
it is.
there?
We got fence
Yeah.
around there, I guess.
Well,
We're
we-
up to the
right
track
there,
shed
right there.
to the north.
Yeah.
When we done that upgrade, we've demoed some fence.
Yeah.
So that's the only area that does not have fence around it currently.
With shop over here. And then
Absolutely.
you got
Correct.
4-foot fence running the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you're putting the bleed.
Yeah, and yeah, then you're gonna have to take part of that out for the bleachers. This price does include some additional gates and traffic control mechanisms that are not there today too. At the main entry here, and then back over on this back entry.
You end up by the shop a little bit too, I think. Up to by the just shop at ring, isn't there another? gate?
There is a yes, there
Yeah,
is a
right there.
fence there on that sidewalk.
Right. So there's 3.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I'm gonna say one more thing while we're on that with the 6.4 million, if you're doing math, because there's 1.8 million in the bond premium fund that's still sitting out there that's not even on
Included in
this
that.
cost. Was when we sold the bonds, the extra, because of the market, we got, instead of 51.4 million, we got 55 point whatever million. We used 2 million of that to fix our bond fund.
I need to use the restroom. You can keep going.
All right. So there is, just for anybody calculating or thinking numbers wise, anyway.
There's 1.83 left in the bond.
We'll talk about that at the very end with the bond mill levy stuff too, but anyway.
Okay. So coming over here to West Campus. So I'll visually show you what we got here and then go through the numbers, which you all should have. So we broke this up into a couple different alternates, if you will, because we had BHS, who is on board for the summer CTE work, price this. These numbers are all based on this work happening this summer while they are here doing the CTE project. So keep that in mind. So alternate 1A is the first 3 classrooms up here. It's renovating them, tearing out the LVT, new carpet, new lighting, painting of the walls, the doors, the mechanical units like we did in here, and just kind of some miscellaneous demo in those rooms. Alternate 1B is the second 3 rooms. And I believe you guys have talked about the uses of those, but we'll go through that here in a minute. Alternate 2 is bathroom renovation. So that is this room, which is just south of the wrestling room. There is currently plumbing in there for a janitor sink. So it would be retooling that room to be a unisex restroom. So plumbing.
I'm sorry. So what's the difference between 1A and 1B again?
It's just breaking it up into two separate chunks, so you guys can consider approval.
The first 3 classrooms and then the next 3.
The first 3 are,
So 3 and 3.
yeah.
Sorry.
You can expand on that, Lauren, if you want to when we get to the pricing. Alternate 3 is the old fax room. So there was a little bit of work done on those when we did the greater West Campus renovations, but there wasn't a use for those rooms at the time. So they were kind of left a little half repaired. So this would be going in, painting, lighting, and a few other, capping off some gas lines that aren't being used, that kind of stuff, to get that room to a similar level as all the other rooms for the alt school.
And that consists of 2 rooms.
Yeah,
There's 2 rooms and an office, yes.
yeah,
Right,
that
green.
whole, yeah, all that area in the green. And the last one is separate from West Campus. It's really more kind of an alternate to the CTE project that was brought up as we were having the interviews with the contractors. Based on trying to control costs at that time, the current budget for the CTE only has ceiling tile replacement. This alternate would be going in and replacing the whole grid system as well, which is what we did everywhere else. So those are the options rundown. All right.
What's the concern with the grid?
Some of it's okay. Some of it looks rather used. Could be some bends in it. It just doesn't look,
Yeah.
appearance-wise is what we're talking about.
It's a little yellowed over time, and there's, a few areas where it's maybe been damaged and bent. But
Just trying to get those classrooms to be on the same level as the rest of the classrooms in the new wing.
okay, so like I said, alternate 1A and 1B, same thing, just breaking it up into 2 sections. And Lauren, you can talk a little bit more about it, but so the first 3 rooms are things you have immediate identification and needs. The other ones, it's kind of nice to get them all done at once. I don't know what else you want to say on that, but
Okay. Well, the first 3, which we've identified, the very to the north would be transportation for Jill Keesman. That's going to be, we're moving her from the middle school where she's been for 2 years. And they need the space down at the middle school for classroom. The second room, depending on how you want to look at it, would be a special ed education room, which we could put more than one person, maybe up to 3 or 4 in that one room. We're in the works of how many directors might come over on site, how many assistant directors might come over on site. Baser is running out of room, so they've asked, is there a possibility of us hosting some of the SPED directors, and we have the space. So we had that conversation just today. So going on down, oh, sorry.
Is it just staff, or would there be students?
No,
using-
staff.
It's just for staff.
No, it's staff. The goal is to try to get a lot more visibility with the assistant directors on site. We've never had that, you know, and it's that way they could be a lot more accessible to all the buildings. Right now they're on call. If we need them, they come, or by appointment, I guess, best way to put it. So you got transportation, SPED, the third room, depending on how you want to look at it, there's a strong desire to move the copy center out of the elementary over here, mainly because they need the space. We do need a copy center because of the amount of, it just takes a lot of time for teachers. They can't just go down and run the printer. It's not going to happen. It'd be a total waste of time. So there is the need for that. It's a classified employee, but that's the desire to move that over. It's a very large machine, and it would be a good location that we would distribute all those copies out from the district office, which is pretty typical, actually. The fourth room, if we go on, keep on, go ahead.
On the copy center, so there's operating costs there too for somebody to run it.
Well, we
already
have
have that person.
we already have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's been moved once or twice, maybe 3. They just keep moving it around the elementary because of space, need for
So there's somebody
classrooms.
running it today.
Yes.
Yes,
And they run copies for everybody.
yeah, it's for the whole
If you're a
district.
Middle school kid or teacher, if you're a middle school teacher and you want copies, you have to send the request to the
Mhm.
elementary school, and then you have to wait to get the basket. I
Or
don't
less.
understand. Is that what you do? It is.
There's no way the teachers could,
I don't understand.
It's efficient, it's
why
more
there isn't
efficient.
a
It's more
copy.
efficient.
Centralized.
oh, yes.
Okay.
It would almost be impossible to have the staff.
Well, it's a lot cheaper too, with the machine itself makes copies cheaper and faster than your smaller machines.
It's a big machine.
Yeah, it is a big machine. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
It's all right, go ahead.
It is a great, I mean, it's perfect timing to move it also because our contract with them is, this summer is getting us a new machine. So it's being replaced or it's being upgraded to a newer machine. So, and it is big. So if you're gonna move it, this would be a great time to do it.
It's not going to
Big
require any
space.
additional staff. It's just location.
Does
So-
it require,
Go
Forrest,
ahead.
does that require, I mean, do we need, is there data connections or upgrades in these
We
rooms
already
that isn't
have all
included?
that in all these rooms, we kind of pre-planned for that. When we rewired this building, we pulled new cable to all those rooms, it's just up in the ceiling.
Okay.
And then when they redo the rooms, my group will come in and we'll finish it.
Does it need special power though? I don't think that is something we talked about. If it's just, I haven't seen the machine, but
I don't
that's,
think so, they've switched it multiple.
The old one doesn't have anything special.
Right.
I can't speak to the new one, but the old one is.
Okay.
So there was some planning ahead, you know, for this.
Yeah.
The fourth room would probably be the parents as teachers room, and we've had PAT for I don't know how many years, but anyway, they also have evening activities with parents, and so this would be a site where they would attend. So and they'd have their own site, and we'd move them around.
We keep kicking them out of their space because our preschool is growing,
Yeah.
and they've actually donated all of their materials to our preschool so that we could start up a larger preschool. And by moving and expanding our preschool, parents as teachers they don't have the ability to come in and do their day programs like they used to. So moving them here would give that ability to have their day programs and in partnership with the rec, so they could do like the stretch and grow or tumble and whatever. And they've also expressed an interest in having a partnership with our alt school and having those kids maybe do some activities with the littles, with the parents, so that they can learn how to appropriately be parents one day when they get older.
It could be a very good setup. The next room, fifth room possibility is work with St. Mary's College. We've talked, I don't know how far we've gotten into it with Cody, with the planning, but the possibility of their involvement in this facility, which we think is popular. We just don't have the details worked out yet. So there's 5 classrooms right there out of 6 that we feel like we have a pretty good plan for. And what I feel is, if we're gonna do 3 or 4, we have the same company do all 6. And it seems like the pricing, they got very competitive, this company did, on their initial price to what I'm seeing now is significantly better.
We went back and talked to them about some things and some efficiencies. And this does include a little bit of contingency. I mean, being a renovation, if they run across something small that they need to pick up, that should be covered. I will say the one thing that is not in this price, because you're asking about what else, is any new furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I know, Lauren, you've mentioned, but there is some extra furniture that exists.
Yes.
So all the stuff coming out of CTE and
Right.
So, at that point, would this building be 100% renovated, or we still got some space that's not renovated?
I'm thinking,
Like the gym, the rec part.
the locker
Yeah.
rooms haven't been renovated downstairs.
I mean, we pretty well got it covered after we
Yeah, we
I
didn't-
would
eventually
say
do
still,
these
Chris, I mean, we're
6 rooms.
Yes.
we're pretty, there's no other room, I can't think of any.
these 3 little closets, well, one of them's an IT closet now,
Yeah.
but then there's 2 other little, I don't think they're being used for anything.
And then I want to back up. I had a question. I understand the copy center and the centralized location, but the elementary and the middle school staff don't have the ability to print copies.
They do, but when they want things in bulk, like they plan ahead, I want these 4 units done ahead of time, they'll have them printed in bulk, so it's cheaper and it's more efficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's also
I-
faster.
Yes, it's faster.
No, I'm-
Those big
okay.
machines is fast.
I mean, we're doing that much copying, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But they do have the ability, they have copiers in all their pods, so they can print to them, they can make copies and staple and all that stuff too, but they're slower machines and they're.
It's the
I was
volume.
just making sure we had the capabilities to
Mhm.
print.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
it's just not the volume.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
So basically that breaks down to $13,000 per room. That includes removal of the existing VCT. We originally talked about just putting carpet over the VCT, but about half the rooms don't have clearance on the doors. So then you're cutting down doors and you might as well just not do that. So that would include, and those rooms were surveyed in the original asbestos survey of this building, and so those tiles are clean. So we do already know that. All right, added restroom. So 27,000. It's a small space, but you basically have to rip up the whole floor because there's no documentation of what the plumbing is or where it is. So you have to take out that floor to get the proper plumbing drains in the right places for adding the fixtures. So other than that, it's just sealed concrete, toilet, sink, ceiling, light, that kind of stuff.
Where is that area at, Lauren?
It's right south of the wrestling room now. It's the next room south.
So-
It looks like a custodial
Yeah.
Oh,
room. There's an
yeah.
ice machine in there right now, and there was a bank of.
Didn't the custodians used to use that as
Yes.
the? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
And it was also the IT closet.
it's in the hallway, and yes, now they use the one over by us. That's what Kurt uses. He has his own sinks and mop. Well, it would be fine to convert that. It would be very handy for the alt school and the wrestlers to keep them centralized, not roaming through the whole facility.
Is it one person at a time restroom?
Yeah. Yeah, so it'd be just like your standard unisex restroom.
Right. New door on it or whatever, locking and new lock and all that kind of stuff on it,
Yeah. All right, and then the old fax room, again, it's 16,000, that's 2 rooms, so it's less.
In an office.
In an office, so it's less per room because the carpet's already done in there.
Tile.
So, it's capping the gas lines, painting the walls, doing the lighting. Again, on all of these, the lighting is the larger chunk of the cost. And it'll be the same light fixtures as was put, not these linear ones, but the other rectangle ones that are in all the other office spaces that were renovated. LEDs. And then the last one is the CTE grid replacement. That is 16,000 for all 4 of those rooms and the offices. The actual cost of the grid replacement is 13,000. We put a little allowance in there because we will have to have the fire alarm company come in, disconnect some devices to take that ceiling down and replace those. So.
So does this include permit costs and all that kind of stuff too? Or?
So, my note down below, no.
No.
I believe we can get by with, I think the only thing that needs to be permitted is the restroom. And if that's the case, it'd be very minimal
Right.
fee. And it does not include DLR design fees. If we don't need to permit the classrooms, there's nothing they really need to design. It's pretty aesthetic. We've got the spec for the light fixtures already, so, but they would have to do permit drawings for the restroom. So again, it'd be fairly small.
So this 138,000 we wouldn't exceed that? Or we could exceed that?
That does not include design and management fees. It does not include a permit fee.
Okay.
Again, permit
Quality.
fee would be, I don't know the calculations, but a couple $100.
No, I guess my point is you're asking me to approve 138,000 and it's not gonna be enough.
No, it covers all the renovation is
Yeah.
what he's asking.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Plus
So,
Plus
yeah,
the
plus,
permit and design
yeah.
fee.
so you had
Well, to
10
answer Chris' question, no, it does not. You still
That's
have
right.
to be
Because it has those,
other fees.
Yeah,
but we can handle that.
yeah. I mean, they're small in the overall scheme. I just, without knowing what you guys are going to approve, I can't go get a quote on what DLR is going to design. So, but either way, it'd be very small. I mean, you could probably add 10% onto that and be plenty covered for those costs that aren't accounted for.
Well, you don't know what needs to be permitted. That's probably the biggest unknown because
Yeah.
that drives design and permit fees.
Right, yeah. But we're not talking about a big number either way. So it's not thousands of dollars here. It's on the permit fee. So,
Yeah.
so that is all that. Again, these costs are based on doing that this summer. They're where we're at right now. There shouldn't be any problems with lead times. The only thing you're really going to fight a lead time on is the lights, and it should have time to get those orders in if you guys approve any of this work tonight.
What about furniture costs? Because furniture can get real expensive. Are we planning to put?
We're going to take a hard look at it. We have some furniture that we'll be able to use. We stored some away. We also have some over that we'll just have to take a hard look at what kind of shape the desks are in, maybe some of the bookcases. But we weren't, the only room, and we've already ordered the furniture for the transportation room. That's already done. Jill's room, I thought that was in.
That was not, no. We haven't ordered.
That would be a room that we would look at a comparable furniture option like we already have in all the others. The rest of them, we'll take a look and see what we have. We have some good tables, we have some desks, we have some bookcases.
I think my only concern, well, one of my concerns with this is, well, I know we don't want to go put up hard walls in all those classrooms so you can revert back to the classroom if you need it. It doesn't feel very scalable to create these, 30 by 30 offices.
Well, yeah.
And I just wonder, is there, because effectively we're going to build this out and not have any headroom for offices, and
I think.
no disrespect to you or Jill or anybody, but nobody needs an office quite that big, and I just wonder, is there some more scalable model to end up with?
Subdivide or do something
Well,
like that.
the
End up-
sped room would be subdivided. The second room would be, for sure. And Jill's room is actually, the room she has over at the middle school now, she constantly has 5, 6 bus drivers in there every morning or afterwards. It's almost like I wouldn't call it a lounge, but it's got some of that. They do congregate there. So that's why that space is important. Now, the next one now, we might be putting up, what do you call it?
Cubicles.
Cubicles.
Yeah, but
because
they congregate there because that's where the buses are.
Well, the
that-
buses are hopefully going to be here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's the same thing. So anyway, just, I think you're right. No, they're too big, but I think in order for us to scale them down, I just didn't know if the cost was beneficial, because as we grow, I don't, 8, 10 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen with the expansion of these classrooms. We got
certainly
quite a
put
ways.
cubes in
We
them.
got quite a ways to go. Obviously, the way we built the high school, but I don't have any planning for putting high school classes over here.
Well,
And-
as long
and I
as we
think
have
to-
the open room,
Here's
we
the
can
thing,
put
like
cubicles.
6 months
Cube-
ago,
yeah.
did we see like SPED and any of this other stuff? I think what I'm hearing, and I don't know if you're saying this, Justin, but in 6 months from now, is there going to be something else?
We'll take the director of school improvement services. Where would he or
Not,
she?
I wasn't, we have actually, if it was to be in this building, we have a conference room down in this other hallway. It's, I don't know if you know where it is, but it's straight across from here. It was I think it was the old sped room. Is that correct?
Gifted.
Gifted,
right here.
plenty big, it's not large.
That person will be
Out.
in the buildings a lot.
Yes.
So they don't need a big space.
No, my anticipation is they're gonna be out in the buildings every day.
This room in here is also unused.
Yeah, there's a small one here.
But even if you put cubicles in, we've got to get the room.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if we
The-
put solid walls, but we're going to have to have the room repurposed or up to date.
Yeah, you still have a renovation, but then you're not. See, what I want to avoid is, hey, we do all these rooms, and then a year from now we have additional needs. Now we're consolidating, redoing the rooms we already did to do different furniture, to then combine some stuff to carve out space, because we kind of have a pattern of moving people around. It sounded like. So I don't want to put us in a position to where we have to do it again.
This move, Drew, would alleviate a lot of that shuffling, especially at the elementary.
For now.
I don't know
Then
how many
there's-
years, yeah.
But then, because again, I don't know, like the SPED and the stuff that's happened in the last 3 to 6 months. I don't know if we saw that happening if we go back a year, right? So
No.
I just, if the pattern is consistent, then my assumption is in the next 6 months to a year, we'll have 3 more things that we'd like to put in over here.
I think that is where that 6th room is kind of a good example. If that was done, I think the solution there is a cubicle solution, because then you're not building out hard construction that is unchangeable. But if you had that 6th room that was empty and you needed a place for some offices, you could go, build out a cubicle system. Excuse me.
Yeah, but I mean, for like the transportation stuff, if they have 5 or 6, those rooms, how many students were fitting in those rooms? 20, 30?
Well, it's a good sized room.
Why don't we just get up and go walk and look at them?
They're smaller than my room. The rooms on this west bank they're smaller than the bank that are on the north. They're just regular classrooms.
I mean, even, I guess I go back to, if we got the construction crew doing the CTE and we have to get this all school stuff done, if these rooms are, the shell is done, you're always gonna have changes. But I mean, we don't need to buy cubicles today and bunches of desks for something that may or may not happen. I mean, it's, you
agree.
consolidate people down the roads. I mean, so they got new carpet, they got new paint, they got new lights.
Well,
We're ready to go with whatever direction the school goes. I mean, I guess that's where I
So
mean,
you just, you, and that may be, cause when the thing I'm thinking about avoiding is you do the work, you move people in, and then, you know, a year from now it's like, well, now we need to combine this, we need to do more work in this, you know, versus just going ahead and
I do-
combining them right now.
I just don't see that really.
I mean,
So you'd have 3 available rooms, potentially renovated, not renovated.
It would be so handy for us to do all 6 now for potential planning down the road. I see us using 4 for sure going into August, and the other 2 we'll just wait and see.
But I mean, to Justin's point, it seems like you can facilitate a lot of needs in one room as big as they are.
Well, the sped would be. That's the room that would have the cubicles. Transportation, I wouldn't share them with anything right now, and parents as teachers is basically it's a meeting room, you know.
So what you would do with the sped room, is there anything different about that than the transportation room? Is there different?
There would
power
be
drops? Is there different data
possibly
drops?
up to 3, maybe 4 people coming over from the Baser office here.
But you wouldn't do anything different in the renovation?
No, it would just be desk and
So the lighting, the power, the data
is all the
are
same.
gonna be the same between the
Right.
transportation room and the
Right.
sped room.
They don't need high level TV. It's not
Yeah.
like that.
So it's really just different furniture.
Right. It really is. We've got everything else connected. Once again, they're using it more as an office station so that they can get out into the buildings is where we need them.
Yeah, the scope that's budgeted is very, very plain in terms of it's just kind of, it's not moving any power or data from what's there and really just making every room the same, so it is more multifaceted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like doing it now, you're just getting it done. They're all the same instead of coming back a year or 2 from now. Well, we got these other 2 rooms that we need to look like these other 4.
And then they won't sell the same materials.
It'll just be different, yeah. Just do it all, knock it off.
anything more in your presentation?
No, that's it. I was just gonna give a high-level update on the CTE project. So we have been meeting weekly with the BHS team. Everything is set up and ready to go. They've got, everything is through the submittal process and on order. And so far have not been notified by any manufacturers of lead time problems. So we're tracking that. And they are set up and ready to go to start. The staff is gonna start moving all of the furniture and equipment out of those rooms when school gets out, and then we'll be in there that next Monday, starting to do removing all the IT stuff and starting selective demolition. So furniture is on order and tracking to be here, so everything is looking pretty good for that. We did have one change order that I need to send through. It's actually a net deduct of about $400. There was an add for one thing and a deduct for another, so, but other than that, it's all looking good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need me to stick around for anything?
Maybe a little, if you wouldn't mind.
Not more than a couple hours.
Do we need to approve the consent?
Not more than a couple hours.
We'll try to move through this. We'll try to move through this here.
You know, I miss you guys. I'll hang out for a little bit.
It wouldn't be a meeting if you weren't here. All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Raise your right hand, sorry. Raise your right hand. Motion carried. All right, I think that puts us, any patron comments? Nope, all right. Well, we're happy we have an audience tonight. Thanks for coming to our meeting. Reports, Lauren.
Okay, so you've got my report there in front of you. We did, had good interviews for the assistant principal positions. It was an all-day affair, and you can see in my superintendent's report that we worked out an offer for both the two assistant principals that were selected by the committee. We were very pleased that they both accepted. And then on Sunday, I sent out a much more detailed report on what their salaries would be and where they're from and all that. So we feel like we've come up with a good team. And I do truly mean that. I think we've got a good balance of energy and a good balance of really some strong background in curriculum and instruction, which is really where we needed to go. And even the young man that we hired is a reading specialist who has been heavily involved in the curriculum piece. Is it Prairie Hills? It's the elementary at, I never can keep all those elementaries or middle schools correct, but so there you are. It's off and running. Okay, so Forrest, this is a thought on the bus parking. We've talked about this. We've kicked this around. I just want to get the pulse from the board, what you would think if we really scaled back our initial thoughts about a bus barn. You know, the grandiose parking, you know, the blacktop parking and everything else. I'm just trying to get the buses off of the middle school parking lot on our own property, honestly, and that's really what it's about. So the area that we're talking about, and we'll scale this way back, is the buses would come down between the buildings. That tube there would need to be replaced and widened, and then the gate would need to be, it's just too narrow. It's more of a double gate. But eventually, what we would look at is possibly putting a metal building right where that A is. That would be the demolition of the old concession stand and just kind of tuck it back in there. And what I'd like to do is put in a rock parking lot. And what I would use as an example, if you've seen the new parking lot out at the Lynch venue out there, I went out and looked at it. I talked to Mr. Lynch about how that all went in and the company that put that in. But it's not asphalt, it's not millings, it is truly a rock parking lot. The advantage of maybe doing that is it could be temporary if we needed it to be, you know, if something else were to change down the road. But I have, for whatever reason, I have received more phone calls, and they're all nice, about middle school track, dodging buses, and it's all combined about why the buses are out there, or why are we running buses through the middle school track practice, because they are practicing on that area.
Did you tell them because the city won't let us build on our
Yes,
property?
I absolutely.
I just want to be clear about that.
I
Lauren.
absolutely have. So
Yeah.
thank you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Provide phone numbers.
No, I think about it all the time. And so I'm just trying to do something scale back tremendously that could work for us for a number of years until something else maybe materializes, or there is a complete change on the 12th Street discussion that we've all had for years. Yes.
How does it work for inclement weather if we're putting buses on a rock?
It'll
surface?
be a hard base. It'll be, I think maybe some of the people could address it, but it shouldn't be a problem at all as far as moving snow. Probably drag some rock around like you would think, but still try to keep it in a contained area.
So then your cost, you'd have a rock cost every year, right? You would have to maintain that with.
Oh, or every couple of years.
Probably a couple times a year.
Yeah,
You'd have a yearly high traffic area, I think, just based on some of the little bitty stuff we've done.
You know, I've done the product of millings at other schools, the black millings, and it works pretty good, but you still kind of drag it around, you know, during snow. You will have a snow pile, then when it melts, you got a whole bunch of millings
Don't we
on
have a
there.
road specialist
you'll-
here?
I think you'll drag less millings than you will rock.
Possibly.
In
The
my-
millings is an option. Don't get me wrong. I've used it and
Come on.
kind of like it.
We talked to KDOT about the entrance, the E.
The only, we're talking the one down here on down the bottom.
Yeah.
The only reason I have it, and I can do it, I just talked to KDOT this afternoon. I'm not real wild about having buses enter that area. You have people coming through there 30, 35 mile an hour. It's a short, you come over that hill and right there you are. We possibly could turn left into it, but I'm not real sure. I don't know if
I may be off here, but I'm fairly certain when they originally designed that, it was a right-in.
It's a right in. Okay, yes, a right
Both of
in,
those,
not a left in. I'm sorry, I said left. It's a right in.
you could come, they would enter in there, and they would
What are we doing?
So,
Well, this is out of the master plan.
No, this
You're
is just an
talking
example.
about, you're talking only about the drive down to the A. and
Right,
That's it, and the
right.
rest of that's not.
don't worry about any of the other stuff. This is
But you would rock B.
B, or maybe
Well,
not
it's
an area
maybe
quite
not
that
big,
big.
but
Half that
whatever
size.
you need to get the buses parked.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be B, and then the driveway would be the one,
Coming over the pipe.
yes,
And you're still looking at adding a building, is
to,
that right?
it's probably the same area as
Is
they
that a
have.
building that a bus can pull into?
Yeah, we would like for a bus to be able to pull in and be able to work on during the winter. It'd be a metal building.
Why are we wanting to work on buses?
Because we have to. We're talking mainly stop sign repair, lights, seats. It's all the things that we can do. You might call it minor maintenance, but right now we're doing it out in freezing temperatures. We have no place else. We're not talking engine, brakes, tires. It's all, we have a guy hired that does that daily.
stop signs and doors.
Yeah, it really comes down to.
I assume we put oil in them and that sort of thing.
They
at some point.
they check. Right now, we're not changing our own oil because we take it out the red fuel.
Right. I
They've
mean,
done a great job.
Right.
We possibly could move in that direction if we have the right
Well, that
person.
wasn't my point. I mean, we got to have somewhere to kind of put oil in it.
Yeah.
We got to have a place to facilitate oil and.
That would be the fuel area.
Yeah.
You would put the same tank that we've got at the middle school right now. It's just a little of this and a little of that, Drew.
Yeah,
It's not a
I just don't
full-time
want us
mechanic.
doing more than what we should be, because there's an advantage of having experienced mechanics taking a look at
We
your
could,
stuff. and doing-
we're not talking about a certified mechanic at all. This is really minor repairs that just have to be done. The drivers can't do it. Buses parked, these guys come in and repair them for them.
Well, I assume sometimes it's even cleaning, right? Like,
Well, the bus drivers, they have a card to clean their own buses. You put it on a rock road, you're going to clean
Believe me,
it twice a day. It just can't keep clean. You can tell which ones.
So
Run
where do they plug in at?
We would have to develop that. There are utilities down there. We just haven't. It's not developed.
It's there. There's a overhead line that runs across down there that powers.
There's a scoreboard down there.
Currently, they plug into extension cords running off the building.
But
I mean, we used to have it.
Yeah, I know,
plugged.
it's not,
That's not good.
yeah, because that's each one of those, what? You can fit maybe 2 or 3 on a circuit?
it's a totally scaled back effort. Probably buying some time until maybe something else down the road is better. But it's just really getting them off the middle school parking lot and more
If you were
of
to
their own location.
prioritize needs, parking is at the top.
For what?
And everything we had, right now you have transportation maintenance facility, bus parking, fueling facility. You have that there. To me, the parking and the plug-in is the most important, and then the maintenance facility is down the list.
It's a goal that we've had from day one to try to make it. It doesn't have to be fancy. just be able to pull a bus in and work on it. We were doing it for a while across the street for a year.
Yeah.
And, that was a lease. And I know the guys appreciated it, get out of the cold. It's mainly the winter months, we know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the point of what Lauren's trying to do is we've explored a lot of options. We've talked about a lot of things, pros and cons. It's somewhere we have it on our list, capital plan. And we're chipping away at things that are ahead of it. At some point, you have to explore what are the options or what are the costs.
How many spots do we need?
During the summer, there'll be probably 34 buses, 15 vans. But during the school year, more than half of those are out at residences.
Right.
The vans stay. But we've been kind of dispersing the vans here and there on our own blacktop. And that could continue, mostly those are special ed services or the activities. They run them
So really the
constantly.
parking that we're shown on this diagram is quite a bit
Way
more
too
than
large.
what we actually
Yes, it's not to scale.
Yeah, because
It may
there's
not be to
almost
scale, but
25
it's going to have to be
buses.
large to turn a bus
Bus around.
around. It's going to be big.
Yeah.
It has to be.
I don't know if it would be more than half of the inside of the old soccer field.
Whatever it is, it just takes a lot of room to turn a bus
Yeah,
around.
yes. I kind of, when I was looking at Lynch's, that was a pretty good sized parking lot, and that just kind of fit my visual of what an area we might look at, but I just haven't put any kind of pencil to it. I just don't know what other option we have right now. And it would be a great start for us, and having Jill over here now, there is some accessibility with it. Having the buses over there, it is not conducive to, she checks on those buses every day, and,
It's hard on the middle school parking lot too.
yeah. So anyways, I would really like to take a hard look at this.
I'd be, this is just my opinion, I'd be interested, I'd like see what it looks like with the parking lot right sized. Orientate it so that in the future, if we add the car parking at the top, that integrates in, because right now it's kind of, they're two separate.
They are, there's a
versus
fence, there's a
being
fence.
able to ultimately add onto it, connect the, like if you rotate it so it actually aligns with the field, pull it up closer to the West Campus building.
Well, there's
and
a
then-
ditch. There's a ditch right in there that would separate that group. I mean, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, yeah, but you can see the outline of the field with those contours.
Would you want them connecting? I would think you'd want that separate so you could fence your buses and secure
Because right now
them.
there's a fence all the way
Yeah,
around.
we have gates and stuff like that right now over there to 12th Street. You could do something like, you allow the option in the future versus keeping it separate to where you really don't have that option.
So
Maybe you decide you don't want to, but then you have that flexibility in the future.
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate it. I'm going to do some more work on this, and so it's a project.
Hey, Lauren,
Yes, I'm sorry.
just kind of to this point in your diagram here. I've not paid attention, the lower area where we were parking the old buses down, is that now incorporated in paving?
No, right here.
And then that swung to the east,
That is additional parking, just rock. It slopes down.
right?
We have used it periodically for overflow. Students are not parking there now. We have them there all fall because we have enough parking elsewhere. We have right now no one parking there. We have I think 3 of our trailers. Two. There's nothing. It's storage. It's storage right now. Yeah, but it's not a big enough space to.
Buses there.
So what is that field used for right now?
Nothing. The last thing it was used for was soccer my first year. Practice. It was never a game. They practiced on it, and it's rough.
Mower training?
It's all bowling out there a couple times this year just to get outside.
It's just rough. It actually has underground water.
Where's the map of how they laid out the
Ball fields?
softball and football field? And baseball field.
I didn't bring that.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I have it.
Area F is
It's just
two
not.
softball fields, if you look at it correctly. That's
So where does a baseball? Because
right on B.
on
Well, this is just to kind of start a preliminary
Yeah,
discussion.
this is
We
not-
can't design it here tonight. I'd really
No, I
kind of like to
know.
keep our movers. I mean, our meeting moving.
no, I know. I'm just saying because
This is a temporary fix.
Well, not with the building.
okay, but
No, the building is far enough to the east that it would never
The model
interfere.
to answer your question quickly, the model they put together that has the ball fields in it, the building is still there, parking lot C is still there, you just don't have parking lot B.
The outfield would go like this. Your
So the building is still in there in that model, parking lot C is in there in that model, where you see F is the two softball fields, and then basically the baseball field sits where the old softball field is.
I'm not even ready to explore that.
it's fine. But to me, it is part of the conversation because because having a campus, like you go. I mean, do you know how many people say, "Oh, we just went to whatever school," and have you seen? Well, were we at Paola? Yeah, we were just at Paola, and it's amazing. Like their facilities are amazing. They host all of these different tournaments and whatever. So I'm not saying it has to happen tomorrow, but the thing is that once you build a parking garage there, you completely
No, it's far enough to the east.
Well, hold on here a second. I go back to what I said at that point in time, which was we already have a hell of a complex up there. We're in partnership with the rec. For dollar, you can do way more up there and improve that versus building all new infrastructure here where you're very space constrained.
Let's try to keep
Yeah.
this moving.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut
Come on,
anybody
Jim,
off.
take
and
control of
we-
this.
Sorry, we've had these meetings and went through our capital planning, and I know the bus thing is kind of one we've got to figure some solution out.
All right.
I mean,
Thank you. All right. So this week, Thursday, we are interviewing 4 candidates for the Director of School Improvement Services. We feel very fortunate. I think we have 4 good candidates. It's going to be an interesting day of interviews, and you can see who's all on the committee. I have them listed there. Tomorrow, the Council of Superintendents meeting starts. It starts in Leavenworth. The Board of Directors meeting will be up there with some tours of their early childhood. We have activities planned for Tuesday night, and then they're going to be probably 100 to 110 total people will be here all day Wednesday for the Kansas Council of Superintendents. So we're excited to host that, and a lot of it is besides the professional development, but the morning, McCown Gordon, DLR, Aaron is coming again and has a little presentation. Then we do a tour. I mean,
Do you have
we'll-
a handout or something? What are you talking? You keep like I should have something that.
Oh, what?
It's in his,
My Friday report. Or my
his
update.
report on his.
Yeah, it's in my,
Okay, it's the administrative content.
okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all there. But yeah, big day, next couple days. TMS practice. I don't know if Mitch has too much to report on that, except you might say just high level that it could possibly work. What are you thinking?
The only thing that I've really done is laid it out on Google Earth. It fits on the big berm out front of the middle school. There's 10 million more questions to answer as far as accessibility. I think the next move is just to engage a civil engineer to find out if it's even a possibility. It does fit from a square footage standpoint, but that is about as far as I think it on that facility for, with the intent of a full 400 meter track housing an entire full 200 football field. So it does fit.
So I think our first plan is to have a civil engineer come in and just take a look at it.
So, if we're talking about tracks and engineering, I would think that we would reach out to a company in that nature, possibly, versus civil engineering. might save some
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah, where do you want to start? I'm not.
Well, I mean, I think anybody, the ATG group, those people are going to offer services
Okay.
versus reaching out. I think there's some
They
savings
probably
possible.
provide those in their services, yeah.
Yeah, just recommendation.
Yeah, so thank you. The next thing I have is the district organizational chart, and I handed this out for you. This is something that we've been, you know, we talked about it quite a bit, and then we went away from it only because we did all that research on what a reorganization inside our own building would look like. And so, as you know, we met with Greenbush several times. We've taken a hard look. The second page shows what ideally we are looking at as far as responsibilities and for evaluation purposes. So let's go back to the first page. Just give you this one right here. This is what we currently do. This is what we are currently working under. So whatever Tanya's name is behind, she's worked on, and then I've done the other whatever. My role will change because of the repurposing of what's on page 2, with Tanya taking on the special education, the alternative programs, career and tech ed, technology, and the director of school improvement services. And what I would then do would be in charge of the evaluations of communication, human resources, operations, finance. The Education Foundation I have not been involved with, but I wouldn't mind being involved with, and then of course negotiations. What I asked Tanya to do over the next course of the several pages is what her responsibilities would be, and then the highlighted are changes, correct? So I don't know if there's anything, Tanya, I know the board's asked me, like, what exactly would the assistant soup, how would that change her role? Honestly, this is what it would look like. In addition to what she's already doing.
Some of them I have a question.
Sure.
Like, why would they fall under like a superintendent?
Okay. Like which one?
Consumable orders. To me, that would be under maybe an administrative.
Well, they still have to get approved.
Like, there's some of them that I just kind of question, like, is that really could that be put somewhere else?
Well, maybe, but I'd be more than happy to, but like consumables, a lot of times flow through Tanya.
The reason I do some of those is because they fall under the textbook purchases. So if they've come under the large adoption of science, then any consumable orders that would fall under that, I just have them sent to me, and then I send to our rep just to fill within that 6-year window. Honestly, they're still collected through the buildings, but then I get them to our rep because when we do curriculum or textbook purchases, it's under like a 6-year adoption. So any reorders.
I thought they automatically resent you other than you just give them the number.
They do, yes. So I just give them numbers of how our numbers are shifting grade level wise. If they normally send you just the same, but we don't want to have just an overflow of things sitting. So
is that something that a superintendent would do, or is that more of an administrative role of just determining the order and sending that? I don't know. It just seems like
it flows up, in my opinion. Like,
it's collected at the building level, but it comes up in a Google Doc, and then I just send them on to our rep just to adjust the orders. And those orders are always approved through me because it's the yearly curriculum renewal.
in part of its
textbook
budget
renewal.
piece, they have to live within that budget of what we have in our textbook fund.
I don't do their normal other building consumables, just what comes under that textbook purchase umbrella.
It's big ticket, as you know, it's a big number.
Is this, you've been working with Greenbush for a while. Is this something that's gonna come back to the board as an action item that you're just wanting to inform us, or you're?
Well, the way I
Tanya,
just kind of,
if it fits into our-
here's how I looked at it. If we hire a director of school improvement services, I need to place them in our organizational chart. or flow chart, and what that would look like. So this is the one I'm recommending, is right here. Green Bishop talked about all sorts of other things, but
Which one did you show that side of the room? Okay.
this one, with just the one addition.
So I'm noticing with the list that's back behind here, not everything is on the front page, or there's.
Probably not. I did that front page, but when I got here, Drew, Tanya and I sat down and divided up duties. So this is rough.
Yeah, it would be helpful for me if you could see it on one page. Like you'd have administrative function, current person responsible, new person responsible, and then assistant. So you could see it line by line, one
We can do
summary,
that.
like
Okay,
going
yeah, I'm trying to
across.
think what that looked like, so.
Oh, I can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just have 2 more columns right here.
Oh, okay, all right. I appreciate that. So this has been just been in the works for 3 or 4 months. It's been, trying to make this all fit. I feel pretty good about it. It's just a matter of continuing to march forward. That's really, the only other thing I have is what Erin talked about in my report, and I appreciated her keeping me updated as we move forward. Thank you. That's all I
Anything
have.
else for Lauren? If not, we'll move to Tanya.
All right, in my report that you have in your packet, I just updated you on state assessments. Those are going well. This week, we are finishing up elementary and middle school math, and then we're wrapping in virtual students in each of the buildings, and we're doing makeups as we can. So high school should be pretty much done. They're just finishing up any students who've been absent during state assessments. So we should be wrapping those up pretty soon. The strategic planning that we've done, we have wrapped up all of our community forums, and what you have at your place that I handed out, at each of the community forums we had a QR code for any of the attendees to scan and then answer 3 questions. How long have you lived in Tonganoxie? What is your age? And then if you have children, grandchildren attending schools. So the graphs you have show that information. And then there are 2 spreadsheets there. We took all of the attendees through 2 different questions. And these 2 ladies here attended our forum, so thank you for being here, and I appreciate that you attended our forum. They went to the first one at the elementary school. So we took them through some activities. What was the best thing? What are the best things about Tonganoxie schools in the district? So they completed an activity with Post-it notes. They put it on chart paper. They visited with their group, and then once they had it up on chart paper, then they got to vote with their dots. So the vote count is where they put their dots. So they had 6 dots. They could put all 6 on one thing. They could spread them out. So these were the things that at all 3 of our community forums combined, what they said. So the top vote getting on what are the best things about Tonganoxie schools, I need to fix that. Caring teachers and support staff, so that got the top votes. The next was infrastructure, building investments, updated facilities, campuses consolidated, and then sports, theater, music activities, clubs. So you can see that what they thought were the best things about the district on that. And then the second activity we took them through was, where do we want to be? So in what areas do you think that our school and our district could improve? And there's quite a list there in the vote count. You can see the top vote getter was teacher pay and retention. So we have some work to do on increasing teacher pay and retaining our good teachers. The next one was, we need more paras and better pay for paras. And then we need more academic enrichment for students who are ready for a challenge. And you can see how the votes went down. And all of this information that we collected at these 3 community forums is going into our strategic plan. So it's going to be a piece of the strategic plan. You can see on my report there that we will be doing some surveys this spring, and it'll be a combination of like a climate culture survey, and then it'll also be what's evaluated in the KISA process. We continue to collect data. We'll design the strategic plan over late spring and early summer. We'll work with the board members on some of the same activities that we did on our community forums. And then we'll put together our strategic plan, communicate that out late summer, early fall, and then we monitor and evaluate for the 5 years that we'll have our strategic plan. So I think it's gone very well so far. Our community forums, you know, we didn't have just a large number of people attend, but the people who attended were very engaged. They were very, very appreciative of the opportunity just to give some feedback.
I have a couple questions.
Mhm.
How many people attended, like in total? How many people attended?
We had 19. So we had 6 at our first, 7 people at our second, 6 people at the next. So it wasn't huge.
Was it a mix of like, so even if you teach in the school or you're a staff member, you're still part of the community, was that also a mix of community members and then staff and
No.
teachers, or was it?
Staff members, we gave them the opportunity to attend, but their feedback, they're going to give some of the same feedback in the surveys that we'll be sending out. So we are seeking their input on the same questions.
And then were these categories that you had already determined and they went and put their dots on, or were these like they wrote on it? I'm just trying to get an understanding of it.
Okay.
Like they wrote on it and then they placed them.
So we had them do this individually first. So we asked them, what are the best things about Tonganoxie in the school district? So they had a few minutes to brainstorm themselves, come up with 3 to 5 big ideas that they wrote on Post-it notes. Then after they did that by themselves, then they got together in their groups at their tables and they talked about those things. So as they had similar things, they put those on top. So they stacked their Post-its. Then they took all of their ideas and put them on a chart paper, and then they presented to the other tables. So they talked it through if they had any clarifying questions, and then they posted their chart paper up, and then they took their dots and they got to vote on all the chart paper. So not just their own ideas, but everybody else. So we did not lead them in those ideas at all. They completely generated them themselves. Now, when we send out the surveys, they will have these same questions, but then they'll also have culture and climate, then they'll have some aspects. The buildings will have aspects of things that they have control over, like curriculum and
So
some
you
other
did
things.
like the panorama? Of the
No,
building?
no, that'll be SurveyMonkey. And we have a combination of things that we've gotten from Greenbush and the component baseline survey that comes out from KSDE, which has all the components in KISA. So it's kind of a,
So I know this goes to the strategic plan,
Mhm.
all that information goes in, but how are there any like plans of action that from this information that we use to then take action on something that we deem is important? Or
right, that's part of when you build your strategic plan. So we take all the data from the community forums and then the surveys, which will have similar data, and then we take the things that rise to the top. You know, what are the best things? Yes, we need to keep doing those, but what are the things that continually are coming up in where we need to improve? So from the community, from the staff, from the board, from the teachers, from our students, all those things that keep rising to the top of concerns, areas that we need to improve. And that's when we take those and put them in our action plan. So
so with such a small sampling of community members,
Mhm.
how can you get a larger sampling maybe without having people come there to a meeting where people are busy? It's probably difficult for those 3 days, even though I know we provided 3. How could we get a larger sampling of community members?
these same questions will be sent out in a survey, and they'll go to all parents, but also will be posted around the community, in the rec area, at the library, the post office, the grocery store, the banks. So everyone will have an opportunity to give this same information in a survey, plus additional questions.
So like if you're in the rec, you can walk up to a QR code and link to that survey?
Yes.
Okay.
Be on our website. I don't know if that.
Yes, it'll be on our website too, and out on social media. So some people only do Facebook, some people only do Twitter. So we'll have those posted in various areas where hopefully anybody who wants to give feedback can give feedback, because it is hard. You know, it's the spring and it's really hard. it's hard for people to come in and, you know, these folks came and gosh, you know, we all have 1,000 activities going on, so it is hard to give that time, and sometimes it's intimidating. I mean, it's hard to walk into a place where you don't know what to expect, maybe you don't know anybody, but at least we're offering different avenues for people to give their feedback. We were just encouraged by what we heard so far.
Is that a common, like, I'm sure you have community forums before, so is that like the usual number of people that attend, or?
It depends. The last time we did this, when we built our strategic plan that we're just wrapping up, we handpicked community members, like we got police officers, you know, fire department, EMS, and mayor, city council, you know, parents, teachers, students, and administrators. We invited all of them down to Greenbush, and we did kind of 2 days of this. And I liked the information we got from that. We had Greenbush lead it, but what we were lacking was that open community. Like, we want to hear from people that we don't normally hear from. What do they think? We know what all these folks think that we keep inviting to things. We want to hear from those folks that we don't get to hear from, who maybe don't have the opportunity to come to those events. So, you know, we had our community forums where people could walk in, but now we also will have our surveys with our QR codes. So I'm hoping that we get a wider, we're casting a wider net for folks to respond in different ways. I'm hoping we get a lot of good feedback.
In the past, has SurveyMonkey been a good tool to use?
Yes, we want to use SurveyMonkey because it's anonymous.
Right.
The thing with Panorama, you have to feed in people's information in order to collect it back from them. With your Google Forms, it collects people's emails and names. We want it to be totally anonymous. So SurveyMonkey, it's widely used by, business and industry, by a lot of people, a lot of forums. So it's anonymous. It's easy to fill out. The things that we did, this information where we had the QR codes on the table, it was built by SurveyMonkey. So it was pretty fun to just see it immediately pop up and populate, and we didn't know who answered what. So it was pretty good. The only other thing I have on my list is our ELA adoption, and we are almost complete. So I'll bring our recommendations to the board in May. And that's it.
Anything else for Tanya? Questions? If not, we'll move into action items. Everybody's doing all right? All right. 5.1 bus purchase. I don't know if you want to give it looks like this has to do with the grant that Jill got.
This is an upgrade, honestly, because we'll be using this one as an activity bus because it will have air conditioning, which is a goal that we've had. And so this bus and probably the next bus would be air conditioned buses, but used for activities. The two activity buses we have right now are nice buses. They haven't been on routes. So that's the plan to move forward. I think the students and probably the coaches would appreciate it. Should be a lot nicer in the fall and the spring.
So the bus was budgeted, but
yes, the extra 25,000 we received from this grant, this fuel grant, really helped push that. Yeah, and we budget a bus every year now, so it's built in. So yes.
Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion regarding item 5.1.
Make a motion for item 5.1, the approval of a bus purchase.
For a second?
second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried. Okay, approval of board member boundary lines. There's been a lot of stuff flying around on this over the last several meetings. Justin has done a lot of legwork, I think, in talking with the county in addition to what Lauren has done. I don't know. You want to say anything on what this?
Yeah, so the ship sailed in terms of recasting the boundary lines for this election. What we have the option to do tonight is to get on the November election to have to move from the current boundary lines to an at-large situation. Was really I think the decision tonight. There is the opportunity to do a special election, but I think it's probably not worth the cost to do it, is my personal opinion.
I mean, we can change our boundary line. We could stay the same structure as we are, north, south, at large, and change the boundary lines. It would not, even if we approved it tonight, it wouldn't be done for the next election. But it would change our policy and give us in compliance with kind of the county. But I mean, I think what we've talked about a lot, various ones, is do we really need north, south, in town, whatever? Why not make it all at large? And I think Lauren attached a list of districts across the state that are at large, and there's really honestly quite a few.
How many districts are in the state of Kansas currently? Do you know?
Oh, I'm gonna guess right around 190.
So more than almost 3/4 of the schools that are all out.
I was thinking more than half. I was thinking.
This is 128 number of
So
districts that are at
within
large.
130. So
There you go.
Close to
Yep.
Which, I mean, and to switch it all at large, we can't do that as a district. It has to go. That's the purpose of the election. So I don't know if there anybody has any
The
other
only
thoughts.
research I did, I think a lot of school districts through consolidation, 1966, historically went to the, not at large, but the districts, because that way they got representation from, well, like for us. I mean, you take your pick. Jarbelo, and then on south down to Reno. I don't know if Reno was part of that, but anyway, that was the whole idea, was to get representation from the entire new school district. But it looks like a lot of changes have occurred.
Well, it looks like most of the districts around us too are at large.
I didn't know. I was kind of surprised how many of our league schools are at large.
But it's pretty simple.
I think it'd be, many of these elections have been uncontested. And I think to get the 7 best possible school board members, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
How does that, so if you have 3 or 4 different open positions, is it just the top 4 that then get?
So if you get, I don't remember what the number is, if you get over a certain number, they do have a primary.
Okay.
To narrow it down, but it's the top 4 vote getters or top 3 vote getters.
Right, depending upon.
Seats are available.
Yeah, okay.
But there would be a primary problem. And if you had enough.
If you had enough
candidates.
people file.
Yeah. Yes, Justin's correct.
I would make a motion that we pass a board resolution to work with the county to get the measure on the November ballot to move to at-large seats.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you guys. That's been
Yeah, got that off.
a long project.
I think we do have to work with Janet and get the verbiage.
There was some wording in there from Lansing. It was pretty simple. It just said that if they're going from the districts to all at large, it really was straightforward. But item 5.3, approval of KSB renewal. Any comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion for 5.3.
Make a motion to approve item 5.3, the approval of the KSB membership renewal.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried. The next is item 5.4 is the KSB Legal Assistance Fund. Again, if no discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve item 5.4, approval of KSB Legal Assistant Fund renewal.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried unanimously. Approval of IDEA assurances. I mean, I read this. I don't know if anybody wants to make a quick comment just about it. This seems like something we kind of have to do to
Yes,
stay in
you have
compliance.
to do it to continue to receive special education funds, federal funds. It's just, one of those things. We'll use them appropriately. That's basically what this is saying.
It doesn't look like it's changed since 2017.
No.
So before COVID.
No, it's just one of those check marks, we have to continue to approve that we'll do things appropriately.
Okay.
Is there approval, an action or a motion on item 5.5?
I move that we approve item 5.5, approval of IDEA 6-B assurances.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, motion carried unanimously. 5.6, approval of renewal agreement with Keystone Parents as Teachers. I don't know if anybody wants to, admin wants to say anything on this.
Tanya takes care of it, but it's another one of these, we've been doing it for many, many years, and the only thing I would say is it went up in cost just a little bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's a program that we've used for many years.
How many staff members? Were
Two.
Two.
Any other questions, comments? Anybody entertain a motion on item 5.6?
I make a motion to entertain 5.6, approval of renewal agreement with Keystone Parents as Teachers, 23-24.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, motion carried. All right, 5.7, administrative renovations. I believe we talked about this quite a bit during Aaron's presentation. I don't know if there's any other questions. I mean, it seemed to me it's kind of a, I don't know, white boxing the rest of the rooms around here so that they can be utilized for different projects. Questions, comments?
My only suggestion would be if we wanna go do this, that we, approve up to $150,000 to account for the unknown cost, or approve something above that, and if it's something more than that, that would need to come back before the board. Be my only
Seems
good.
suggestion.
To
Seems
include like furniture.
Well, the furniture, you don't know. I'm just saying furniture could be expensive, but I'm not planning on buying a lot of new furniture.
Well, then you should be
I
okay with
I
it.
just think it's,
I'm talking about, that would put a pretty strict limit on it.
I
Would
just
you-
think it's disingenuous for us to approve $138,000,
With unlimited.
knowing that that doesn't.
That alternate.
This
no,
would be the
is for
renovation.
renovation of the six rooms.
Isn't there 4 options?
Yeah, cover permit fees to our.
They're additive. You don't. Yeah.
That's why we got total.
Yeah.
But not furniture.
I mean, we can evaluate furniture and
Yeah.
come back later if you're
We'll-
gonna
we'll
need to
look.
buy new furniture or something.
We have to see what we all have.
Is
So
there,
it could be. See, that's the thing. I just like again just committing to renovation, and then you have to then come in and do the furniture too. And you know, is that 5,000? Is that 50? Is it 100?
It will be approved by the board.
Okay.
This would be my comment. We wouldn't do anything without.
It'll be approved by the board, but to Drew's point, the handcuffs are on at that point, because we've already committed to spend $150. If you come back and say we have to have furniture, what are we gonna not buy furniture for $150,000 renovation? So I hear you, and I hear it's gonna come back, but that's the issue I have. That's the same issue that I have with the permit fees and the design fees. To approve something that doesn't cover the full expense, doesn't feel like we're doing our job. What do you think the chances of needing new furniture are?
I would say probably 2 of the 4 rooms. Transportation for sure.
2 of 4 or
2 out of the 6 rooms. I'm sorry. 2 of the 6. I think parents as teachers, the copy center, no. St. Mary's, no. But right now, I can only think of transportation and the sped. We may be looking at some cubicles or whatever furniture. I think we still have some pretty decent furniture that we could put in there. And I'm not wanting to try to go out and buy new furniture. So I don't think that's their expectation. So right now, really one.
Paint and carpet is what we're after
Yeah,
tonight.
paint, carpet,
Lights.
tiles.
Lights.
And I think that, I agree that 150 is, that would help cover all those incidentals.
I'd move we would approve action item 5.7 with a cap of $150,000. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried. Beatty Fence. Thoughts, comments? I mean, I realize that I don't think any of us are thrilled with the increased costs, but I think we started down this
kind
road.
of decided what we, like, didn't we already kind of approve one
Yeah, we approved a plan, but it had a wrong figure in it. It's gone from 170 to 225. So it's really a $50,000 change to get the same design effect, if I'm catching that right.
Yeah, there's just an
But I don't think we have
addition or trans.
to discuss the design, right? It's just looking at the price.
Just getting the correct price so they have the approval to go forward.
Wait a minute. 225 is getting you chain link. Is that right?
225 gets you what you guys previously approved.
What we approved
It's the
last.
correct price. for
Oh,
what
okay.
you
All right.
previously
Very good.
It's the wrought iron
Okay,
on the
okay.
front,
The
the
residence.
columns, and,
Yeah. All right.
the chain link.
All right. Very good.
Or aluminum. I can use them
Right.
interchangeably. I don't know.
I feel
don't
like
have
we
it right.
already have chain link, so around there as it is. All right.
I'm not sure I can get behind any of it, but I certainly don't see a reason to upgrade the chain link we've got.
I mean, there's different opinions. The people, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind that voted against it the first time, but I guess I voted for it the last time and for $50,000 and we're getting 600, a whole bunch more money back off the bond. I don't know. At some point, we've been pretty fortunate with not really having any material overruns on this whole project. So if it comes down to this on the fence, I can stomach it personally, but
My thoughts are I give grace to mistakes because we have seen a lot of projects come through and this is not a common thing that happens. I also think that it's something that will make you money in the long run because curb appeal always makes you money. If you want people to come in and build houses that are going to bring you tax dollars, those type of people are looking for curb appeal and nice facilities and that is what, we have upgraded, we spent millions of dollars to upgrade facilities and this is part of it. Like this is part of the project and I have a hard time not thinking that this, it seems funny to say a fence will bring you money, but it will, it's curb appeal. And people are gonna drive by and go, Tonganoxie has a beautiful school district and to me it's just the finishing touches. So I think that I think we approved it once. I don't think that because there was an error in a spreadsheet with a million numbers on it that we should now, take it that away from the district. So.
I think we're gonna have a mess. One thing too, I don't think we talked about is I think we're gonna have a mess when we put the new bleachers in there if we just don't do something. But again, that's my opinion. I can't say I'm thrilled with the additional money, but anyway. Any other thoughts, comments? Otherwise, I'd entertain it.
I move to approve the increased cost of whatever we determined last. Was it
The
the
aluminum
Star
fence.
option one? Is that
Be
what it
item
is?
5.8.
Yes.
It'd be with the option 2 now, I guess, or the same option as we had last.
I'd say the municipal grade fence option.
It's been moved that we approve action item 5.8 with the municipal fence option. Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, raise your right hand. Motion carried 4-3. You get that, Audra? All right, student nutrition equipment purchase. I don't know if we need any discussion on this. Barb does a pretty darn good job. Looks like they need a new oven, so any thoughts, comments?
I move that we approve item 5.9, approval of student nutrition equipment.
A second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carried. All right, unless anyone has a reason, I don't think there's any need for an executive session tonight. Anything from any board members? All right, possible announcements of upcoming dates. Usually we go through this pretty quick. This is the only place I can get this on the agenda, and I'll try to be kind of quick here. I emailed you guys all I'll back up a little bit. Justin and I and Warren met with Dustin A.V. what, the 3rd, or I just put it in my message. It was before the last meeting to kind of go over where are we at with the bond fund, what can we do come we're approaching budget season, what can we do? So the first sheet that you have is just status quo, holding the mill levy the same. He's got like a 2% growth goal in there. I think we all know we lost state aid over the years. The second to the last column kind of shows you what our bond fund, the excess principal balance does over time, how it would grow at the same mills if we kept it flat. So historically, at a minimum, Dustin suggests you have at least a half of your normal payments in reserve in that fund in case your valuations would drop. So if you look at that, it grows pretty fast. Given our valuations have gone up 8% a year, we hold the mill levy flat. That fund's just growing. And I don't know, we all want to get out of debt quick, but I did have Lauren confirm with Dustin. We can't prepay any of this debt until after September of 2027. There's not a call feature on these. The call feature on that bond doesn't kick in until then. Also, I don't have the exact figure, but our yield on these bonds is less than 2%. I mean, like the other thing, we hit a pretty good deal. So as much as I like people to be out of debt, my banker hat says, I don't know if you should prepay debt at 2% when inflation's running whatever it is this month, 6% down from 9%. So, sorry. Second page, if you look at that, if we cut the bond mill levy 3 mills, which is exactly the amount what we asked for when we got it approved, our bond fund in like 2027 would dip down to $1 million, our excess, and we should have rough ballpark numbers. We should probably keep a minimum of $2 million in that fund, but that's just to protect if our valuation would go down. I mean, again, it's conservative planning that Dustin does. That $1 million difference could easily be met. I mentioned early in the meeting that we have 1.8 million, and that was the premium that we received when we sold the bonds. There was 3.8 million in that account. When we sold them, we had to use 2 million to build up our bond fund to make up for the lost state aid. We're at basically zero state aid. I mean, our only risk going forward is what will our valuations do? I mean, it's been a pretty positive trend, but who knows what could happen. But if we used $1 million of that, we could cut the mill, basically 3 mills, and put $1 million in there and be a rider in the ballpark that Dustin would advise. Now, his suggestion was more of a phased approach. That's what the last page is, like a cut your mill levy 1.5, maybe not put the money in, see what the valuations do, or put half the money in. There's a lot of, long story short, there's a lot of options, but we should be able to give a pretty substantial reduction in the mill levy out of the bond fund if we want to, if we choose, if it makes the right sense to everyone. I mean, I know everyone's probably heard from some people, or there's a lot of discussion. I think my appraisal went up 15%. Most of them is 10, 12. But if we cut the mills, 3 mills on the 23 that we have right now is roughly a 13% reduction in that mill rate. That doesn't necessarily translate dollar for dollar to cuts in people's taxes. It just reduces
that portion
of it. But I think we're going to have a lot of positive options in this area. And my review of the other districts, I try to review everyone in our league, everyone in our county, kind of our competitor schools. I mean, our mill is high because of all the debt we have. So, I mean, it's not high because of our operations of our school and our general fund. I mean, we're right in the middle right there competitively with anybody on that. But we have a lot of debt. I mean, and I think we knew that when we passed the bond. So that's it's a timing thing we have to dig out of. But anyway, I just kind of want to walk through what the meeting we had, let everyone ponder that, because I know soon enough Lauren will have to start working on the budget with the Greenbush people. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into our general fund, but it's very positive on our mill, our bond and interest.
Absolutely. One other good thing I really want to share with the board and the people that are listening is we have worked hard to get out from under all of our leases that we've had. I mean, when I got here 5 years ago, it was a pretty substantial amount. We no longer have any leases on HVAC, buses, cars, vans. So that's another good trend for the school district, which you know, kind of adds to this whole story. I mean, because that was all coming out of capital. So it's been a good process in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we've done a lot of good things. I mean, we've said luck, but I don't know, luck, what did it's the meaning, it's opportunity and planning, or. I don't
You
know,
put
there's some
yourself
saying.
in a position to where you're going to have good luck, and I think with the team that we had and the people, we were in a position to take advantage of then some fortunate situations.
That's true. I mean, there's more things to do on the capital fund. Next, like I said, we're gonna have kind of a financial update next time. You know, where we have our money, how we place our money. There's some things that Rebecca can look at and provide us. Because there's actually interest rate out there. Idle funds can actually earn some money right now, so we're in a very good place. But anyway,
Next
with that,
meeting is
it's May. It's right.
May 8th.
May
okay,
8th.
let everybody. I'm just trying to make sure it's not very far off. It's 3 weeks
And
away.
then
but-
there's graduation too. Let Mary know your intended plans on graduation.
Yeah, right now, does everybody can they be there on the 13th for graduation, because it's in a new gym? It's
There's several of us that aren't there. We're going to be in big trouble.
anybody that is not anybody that will not be there. Oh, that's right. She's got her son's graduation going on. So all right, that helps a lot.
I got 2 graduations that day too. Luckily, there's a gap. Anyway, all right. Meeting adjourned.